They say timing is everything, but no one tells you what it feels like when someone uses timing as an excuse to keep you without ever choosing you. He didn't say he didn't love me. He didn't say I wasn't enough. He didn't even say he didn't see a future. He just said, I'm not ready. And for a long time, I believed him. My name is Avery, and this isn't just a story about heartbreak. This is a story about waiting, about believing in potential, and about what happens when the person who isn't ready for you moves on without you. I met him at a time in my life when everything felt stable. My life was finally making sense. I was focused, clear, grounded, and I wasn't looking for chaos. I was looking for something real. His name was David. He was calm, not loud, not performative, just steady. The kind of man who doesn't overwhelm you with words, but makes you feel safe in silence. And after everything I had been through, that mattered. We didn't rush. No labels. No pressure. Just conversations. Consistency. Presence. He would call. Check in. Remember small details. And slowly, without even noticing, he became part of my everyday life. It didn't feel forced. It felt natural. And that's what made it dangerous. Because when something feels natural, you stop questioning it. One night, I finally asked him, "What are we doing?" He paused, not long enough to seem suspicious, but long enough to feel like truth was being chosen carefully. Then he said it. "I like what we have, but I'm not ready for anything serious." And I nodded, because I wanted to understand him, because I didn't want to lose something that felt this good. So I stayed, not realizing that not ready wasn't a phase. It was a boundary, just not for everyone, because I didn't know them. He had already started building something else, and I hadn't seen it yet. Not until everything changed. Wait, I will tell you what to do. It didn't start loud. It never does. It started with a name, then a picture, then another. At first, I thought I was mistaken. People don't usually find out the truth in one moment. It comes in pieces. Slow, quiet, confusing. But the name was his. David. And beside him was someone else. And the way they looked together, it didn't feel new. It felt established. Like something that had already passed the figuring things out stage and moved straight into certainty. I kept scrolling, not because I wanted to, but because my mind was still trying to prove me wrong. But every image said the same thing. Comfort, ease, belonging, the exact thing I thought I had been building, just not with me. And suddenly, his "I'm not ready" didn't sound like confusion anymore. It sounded like timing control. Because while I was waiting, he was building. While I was understanding, he was choosing. And while I was adjusting my expectations, he was moving forward without hesitation. Then I saw it. A post, a ring, and a caption that made my stomach drop before my mind even processed it. Forever started with my best friend. 6 months. That's all it took. 6 months after. I'm not ready. He was someone else's forever. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't waiting for readiness. I was waiting for honesty. And I never got it. Not once. Wait, I will tell you what to do. I didn't confront him immediately. Not because I didn't want answers, but because I already had them. There's a certain kind of silence that comes when the truth finally makes sense. And in that silence, You stop asking questions you already know will hurt. But eventually, I reached out. Not for closure, not for explanations, just to hear what he would say. When he knew, I knew. He replied faster than I expected, like he had been waiting for this moment. Or maybe, avoiding it. I was going to tell you, he said. And for a second, I almost laughed, because that sentence always comes after the truth is exposed, not before. I didn't argue. I didn't accuse. I didn't even raise my emotions. I just asked one thing. Were you ever going to choose me? There was a pause, longer than the first one. Longer than the night he said, I'm not ready. And in that silence, I got my answer. Because when someone really wants you, they don't hesitate that long. I cared about you, he finally said. Cared, not loved, not chose, just cared. And that was the moment everything became clear. I wasn't the one he was building with. I was the one he was comfortable with, while he figured out what he really wanted. I was the in-between, the almost, the placeholder, until something certain came along. And the truth is, he didn't lie when he said he wasn't ready. He just didn't finish the sentence. He wasn't ready for me, because somehow he was ready enough to meet someone else, ready enough to build with her, ready enough to marry her. In 6 months. 6 months. And for a long time, that number stayed in my head. Not because of him, but because of what it made me question about myself. Was I too much? Not enough? Too patient? Too understanding? But the more I thought about it, the clearer it became. It was never about my worth. It was about his decision. And decisions don't need time. They need clarity. Something he had, just not with me. And that hurt. But it also freed me. Because for the first time, I stopped romanticizing potential. I stopped holding on to almost. I stopped waiting for someone to become ready, for a love they never truly chose. And I started choosing myself. Not loudly, not dramatically, just intentionally. Because the hardest truth I had to accept was this. Someone can treat you well and still not choose you. Someone can care about you and still build a life with someone else. And someone can tell you, I'm not ready, when what they really mean is, I'm not ready for you. And once you understand that, you stop waiting. You stop explaining. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's uncertainty. Because love, real love, doesn't leave you guessing. It doesn't leave you waiting. And it definitely doesn't leave you behind while it moves forward with someone else. So, no, he didn't break me. He revealed something. Something I needed to learn before I gave the rest of myself to the wrong person. And maybe that was my second chance. Not with him, but with myself. For a while, nothing happened. No big transformation. No sudden glow up. No dramatic, I'm better now moment. Just silence. The kind of silence that forces you to sit with yourself, without distractions, without excuses, without someone else to blame. And at first, it was uncomfortable, because when everything finally slows down, you hear things you've been avoiding. The truth, your truth. And mine was simple. I didn't just ignore the signs. I explained them away. I didn't just wait. I convinced myself waiting meant loyalty. I didn't just accept less. I called it patience. And once I saw that clearly, I couldn't unsee it. So I started doing something different. Not for revenge. Not to prove anything to him. But for me. I started choosing what felt right. Instead of what felt familiar. I started walking away from confusion. Instead of trying to understand it, I started paying attention. Not to what people said, but to what they did. And slowly, my life became quieter. But not in a lonely way. In a peaceful way. The kind of peace that doesn't come from being loved by someone else, but from finally respecting yourself. And then, when I wasn't looking for it, when I wasn't trying to replace anything, when I had finally stopped needing answers from the past, something unexpected happened. I met someone. And this time, it didn't feel like uncertainty. It didn't feel like guessing. It didn't feel like I had to earn anything. There were no mixed signals. No confusing pauses. No, I'm not ready. Just clarity. The kind that shows up early and stays consistent. He didn't say the perfect things. He didn't try to impress me. But he was clear. Clear about his intentions. Clear about his presence. Clear about me. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to chase understanding, because I wasn't confused. And that's how I knew this was different. Because real connection doesn't feel like something you have to figure out. It feels like something you recognize. And maybe that's the lesson no one talks about enough. The right person doesn't come with better words. They come with better actions. They don't give you reasons to wait. They give you reasons to trust. And they don't make you question your place in their life. They make it clear, without you asking. So no, I didn't lose him. I lost the version of myself that was willing to stay where I wasn't chosen. And in return, I found something better. Not just someone better, but a better standard, a better understanding, a better version of me. And this time, I didn't need to wait to be chosen, because I already chose myself. And that made all the difference. I wish I could say that everything was perfect after that. That once I chose myself, love became easy. But that's not how it works. Because when you've been hurt before, even something good can feel unfamiliar. And unfamiliar can feel unsafe. There were moments, small ones, where I caught myself waiting for something to go wrong. Waiting for the silence, the distance, the confusion. But it never came. And that was the strange part. Because I was so used to love feeling uncertain. That consistency almost felt suspicious. But he didn't change. Not after a few weeks. Not after a few months. He stayed the same. Present. Clear. Intentional. And slowly, I started to realize something. This wasn't hard. Not because it didn't matter, but because it was right. There were no mixed signals to decode. No emotional puzzles to solve. No moments where I had to question where I stood in his life. And for the first time, I understood the difference between being wanted and being chosen. Because being wanted is temporary. It's easy. It's convenient. But being chosen, that's intentional. That's consistent. That's someone waking up every single day and deciding that it's still you. And that kind of love doesn't leave room for confusion. It doesn't ask you to wait. It doesn't make you feel like you're asking for too much. It simply shows up, the way love is supposed to. And one day, in the middle of something ordinary, nothing dramatic, nothing planned, I realized something had changed. Not him. Me. I wasn't anxious anymore. I wasn't overthinking. I wasn't trying to hold on tightly, out of fear of losing it. I was calm, secure, at peace. And that's when it hit me. This is what it feels like when love doesn't hurt. Not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. Because it's mutual. Because it's real. And for a moment, my mind went back. Back to everything I thought I lost. Back to the version of me who stayed too long, who waited too much, who believed potential was the same as reality. And I didn't feel regret. I felt understanding, because if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have recognized this. I wouldn't have known what clarity looks like, what effort looks like, what real love actually feels like. So no, he didn't waste my time. He showed me what love isn't, so I would never settle for it again. And the truth is, everyone talks about finding the right person, but no one talks about becoming the person who no longer accepts the wrong one. That's where everything changes. Because when you reach that point, you don't chase love. You don't beg for clarity. You don't wait to be chosen. You simply walk away from anything that isn't certain, and you recognize what is. So this isn't just a story about him, or even about the man I met after. This is a story about me, choosing differently, seeing clearly, and finally understanding that the right love was never something I had to wait for. It was something I had to be ready for. And when I was, it didn't confuse me. It found me. And this time, I didn't have to ask where I stood, because I already knew. And that is how my story changed.